Welcome to English Venture, where learning English becomes an unforgettable journey. Today, we dive into a thrilling mystery with the world's greatest detective, Sherlock Holmes. This story will help you improve your English listening and comprehension skills while keeping you on the edge of your seat. So, put on your detective hat and let's begin. It was a foggy evening in London. The street lamps flickered in the cold air as Sherlock Holmes sat in his study at 221B Baker Street. Dr. John Watson, his loyal friend, had just returned from a visit to his patients when a loud knock interrupted the quiet night. Holmes looked up from his book. "Watson, I believe we have a visitor. Let them in." Watson opened the door to find a distressed young woman wrapped in a long blue coat. Her eyes were filled with worry. "Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson," she gasped, stepping inside. "My name is Lady Eleanor Winslow. I need your help. My family's most valuable possession, the Blue Star sapphire, has vanished from our estate." Holmes steepled his fingers and observed her carefully. "Tell me everything, Lady Winslow." Lady Winslow took a deep breath. "Last night, my father, Lord Reginald Winslow, placed the sapphire in his study safe. This morning, when he went to retrieve it, the safe was empty. The doors and windows were locked. No one could have entered." Holmes's eyes gleamed with excitement. "A locked room mystery. Excellent. Watson, we must go to Winslow Manor immediately." When they arrived at the Grand Winslow estate, Holmes and Watson were greeted by Lord Winslow, a tall man with silver hair and a serious expression. He led them to the study, where the empty safe stood open. Holmes examined the safe carefully, his sharp eyes scanning every detail. He then turned to Lord Winslow. "Who knew the combination to this safe?" "Only myself and my butler, Mr. Graves," Lord Winslow replied. "But Mr. Graves has been with us for 30 years. He would never steal from us." Holmes bent down and studied the lock. Then he took out his magnifying glass and examined the edges of the safe. Suddenly, he smiled. "Watson, do you see what I see?" Watson leaned in. "What is it, Holmes?" Holmes pointed to a faint scratch near the lock. "This safe was not opened with the correct combination. It was picked open with a tool. Our thief is someone skilled in lockpicking." Lady Winslow gasped. "But who?" Holmes turned to Watson. "Let's question the household staff." The butler, Mr. Graves, was first. He was calm and respectful. "I swear on my life, sir, I know nothing about the missing sapphire." Next was Mary, the maid. She trembled as she spoke. "I heard footsteps in the hallway last night, but I thought it was Lord Winslow." Then came Henry, the gardener. He seemed nervous. I was asleep, sir. I know nothing." Holmes watched him carefully. Then he suddenly asked, "Henry, did you injure your hand?" Henry flinched and hid his left hand behind his back. "I cut it while trimming the roses." Holmes nodded. "Interesting." Holmes and Watson returned to the study. Holmes closed his eyes for a moment, deep in thought. Then he smiled. "Watson, I have solved the case." Everyone looked at him in shock. "You have?" Watson asked. "Yes. The thief is Henry, the gardener." Henry's face turned pale. "That's absurd." Holmes stepped closer. "You see, Henry, I noticed tiny specks of blue dust on your sleeve. That dust comes from sapphire polishing. Also, your injured hand, it's not from roses, it's from forcing open the safe. And finally, your nervous behavior confirmed my suspicions." Lady Winslow gasped. "Where is the sapphire?" Holmes turned to a large plant in the study. He reached behind it and pulled out a small pouch. He opened it, revealing the Blue Star sapphire shining brilliantly. "Henry hid it here, planning to take it later. Henry dropped to his knees. I I needed money for my family. I'm so sorry. Lord Winslow sighed. You were a good worker, Henry, but stealing is a crime. I must call the police. Holmes adjusted his coat. Another case closed, Watson. Now let's head home for some tea. That was The Case of the Missing Sapphire. Did you enjoy solving the mystery with Sherlock Holmes? This story helped you learn new English words, phrases, and expressions. If you want more exciting stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an adventure. See you next time on English Venture.